Hey there guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Sophia if you're new here, and if you are new, please consider subscribing.
My husband and I are a military family who recently bought a house and moved from Scottsdale, Arizona to Washington, D.C. Come along with us as we decorate, organize, declutter, and deep clean this house on a budget from house to home.
The materials I used for this makeover were gathered prior to these outbreaks. Please heed the advice of the CDC and stay safe.
So for the next room, I really wanted to do the guest bedroom because no one's obviously been sleeping in here since we're all social distancing. So I thought there would be no better time than to kind of get this room back in order. It's just ugly. It's not my taste at all. I feel like the guest bedroom always ends up being like the leftovers you've had over time, and I just really want to spruce it up and make it look so cute and pretty and exactly like what I have in my mind. In this video, you're gonna see 3 super simple, easy DIYs that you can do with probably things that you have lying around your home. And we're gonna see if we can make all these work to make this room come together. A fun fact, my husband and I are both from Ohio, and we really wanted this room to be like a cabiny, woodsy vibe. So this first DIY we're gonna do is a branch framed headboard. The only thing that I have lying around the house that's even remotely similar to the shape of a headboard is these vertical mirrors. I swear, I think every person in America has this mirror. And the game plan for this is going to be to remove the backing, which is just like paper cardboard, and see if we can detach the adhesive from the back. But man, these babies were glued down. These mirrors are pretty inexpensive just normally, but I ended up getting mine from the thrift store for $5.99, so that was a steal. And this kind of gives me the peace of mind that if it doesn't go exactly as planned, it's no big deal. To remove this adhesive, I ended up just applying some Goo Gone along all the edges and then giving it a little bit of time. Now that the frames are hollowed out, it's time for me to find some really cool branches. I have some trees in my backyard, but definitely not enough, and they're not nearly as cool than if I was gonna go like out into like a forest. I went to this forest nearby my house where they have such tall, beautiful trees. There was branches galore. I'm sure it probably just depends where you live, but we live in DC, so there's lots and lots and lots of trees. Before I start working with the branches that I just picked out, I really wanted to give this frame a black matte effect because right now it's kind of shiny, kind of cheapy looking, and I wanted it to feel a little bit more expensive, and matte black is just so trendy right now, so I just gave this a once over with a can of black spray paint, and while that's drying, it's time to go work on those branches. The frame looks so stinking good painted in this matte black. This is exactly what I had in mind. It's so much more expensive looking, not so cheapy, plasticky. That's not the vibe I'm going for. So this is exactly what I had in mind, and just an example of a small change you can make to make your house look more expensive. While that spray paint is drying, I just have all of the branches that I collected kind of broken in half, at least longer than the frame of the mirror, but smaller, so I'm working with a little bit more of a realistic situation. And the first thing I need to do with these is to treat them and to try to remove as much bark as I can using a sander. Obviously, using a handheld electric sander would be a lot faster, but it wouldn't really be ideal, and I couldn't seem to get the coordination down. So I just had this little block handheld sander, and honestly, the best way to do this was just to kind of peel the bark off, which was way easier than I thought it was gonna be. Now I have pretty much all the bark removed. I didn't do the ends real well because I knew I was gonna have to chop some of these off still. So the bark is for the most part removed in the center, so I can measure out now what's gonna look good. This got kind of tricky because I didn't want it to look like, like a jail cell. Like I wanted them to have some characters, some twists, some turns, some vines, some personality. So I kind of had to play with the branches to get the effect that I wanted. After I had gotten a pretty good idea of what was going to show in the frame is exactly what was in my mind, I just marked with a purple marker down where the frame lied, so I knew I had to cut an inch in from that so I would be able to glue everything down. So I just used this saw. I have no woodworking skills, so if I can do this, anybody can do this. This part was definitely the most time consuming because I had 20 sticks to get through, number one, and number two, I wasn't just chopping off one end of the branch because I had to do both ends because there was different aspects of each branch that I wanted to show through the frame. Now with a little bit of time and a little bit of sweat, I have all of my branches laid out. We're ready to go. I decided to number the top of each branch so I knew A, what was the top, and B, what was the order or the sequence of what I wanted to show through the frame. I actually hot glued everything inside, so I just gathered up my branches and I laid them off to the side and used a hot glue gun and glued the sticks to the back of the frame in the sequence that I had planned outside. And this is how the headboard came out. It is so beautiful, so woodsy, giving me those really cabin vibes. And it was so nice to hang because it was originally a mirror, it already had those little clasps on either side to also be hung horizontally. So very easy DIY, a little bit time consuming, but still so beautiful. And think about how much headboards normally cost, hundreds of dollars, and this was literally free. For the next DIY, I really wanted to stick with that cabin-y forest vibe and make this snakeskin lumbar pillow. My mom had given me this snakeskin fabric a while back and I've never had a use for it until now, so I'm going to use this fabric to make the pillow. These scissors are great because they have serrated edge, which helps from the fabric fraying. I think I got these off Amazon. They're very inexpensive and they do make all the difference. Some people get really specific in terms of measurements and maybe using chalk to line where you want to cut, but I just kind of use fabric on top of fabric to gauge how much space I'm going to need. And then it's as easy as running it through the sewing machine and just kind of feeding it through for both sides and then hand stitching the other side. If you don't have a sewing machine, that's no big deal. You can use fabric adhesive if you have that, even hot glue, I've done that. You can even hand stitch, that takes a lot more time, but you can do that. Just because you don't have a sewing machine does not mean you cannot make this DIY. And then I just put the insert in the pillow before I did that hand stitch at the end, and it is done. I absolutely love how this pillow came out. I think it totally brings out the brown of the branches that we made for the headboard, also fitting in with that vibe. I'm very into how something fits in with a room, and I feel like this snake skin really is fitting for this room. For the last DIY in this video, I wanted to make a cute little welcoming tray to place on the bottom of the bed. For this DIY, you essentially just need two things. One, a flat piece of wood, and two, some sort of handles that you might have lying around your house. For me, the shelf actually came from my closet makeover. If you haven't seen that video, I'll make sure I link it in the cards here. And the handles, the intention I had for these was to update some of our cabinetry, but they just didn't really end up working, so I'm going to use them on this tray. So with the tape measurer and the pencil, I just kind of marked where I wanted the handles to go and just trying out a couple different things. And then I probably could have screwed these in because it's wood and they were handles to begin with, but I just decided to use hot glue to make my life easier. Because the tone of this wood was just a little bit lighter and not as woodsy feeling as the other woods that are going on in that room, I decided to make this all black, all matte black, because that's what's going on with the headboard frame. So I thought it would all kind of tie together nicely. Now that the spray paint has dried, it's time to place it at the bottom of the bed. Another kind of small DIY is if you have a black frame and you have a functioning printer, you can just make a little cutesy thing that says the username and the password, so when your guests do come in, they feel welcomed and they don't have to bother you with that question. I I think the tray came out so cute. It kind of just makes it really obvious that this is a guest room and that it's all really put together nice. Another little quick DIY is if you have a canvas tote bag lying around your house, mine happened to be Christmas, but you could just literally put the pillow insert in the gift bag, sew up the top, and it's done. What's nice about this is I can just flip it over in the guest room when it is Christmas and flip it on its other side when it's not. I think this room came out so beautifully for spending no money. It literally is just about repurposing the things that you already have during this time, because one thing we do have right now is time at home. So you have nothing to do but look at the four walls and think, maybe I can turn this into that. I hope this gives you guys some inspiration and motivation. Maybe you want to try the headboard one, or maybe you want to try the tray one, or whatever it is. Make sure you comment below so I can see what you guys are doing too, because that's how inspiration works. You see one person do things. I know I get inspired by YouTubers all the time. So I think that this is a great time to spruce up your house using the things that you already have. And that about wraps it up for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, because that really helps to support my channel. And I hope I see you guys next Sunday for another room makeover. Have a great week, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!